Hi, my name is Patrick. This video should tell you about what skills you need to really work on if you want to crack CAT. It's 6 months to CAT. These are the 6 skills that you really need to work on. We run classes for the MBA Entrance, been running there for more than 22 years. Includes the 100 percentile batch, etc. I've scored a 6 times 100 percentile, so fairly comfortable with the exam, so can guide you with what is required, what is not. First skill is the thinking ability. If you look at CAT, is all about thinking ability. Be it verbal, be it con, be it logic. The questions are not direct. The question tests you on how can you think through the solutions. Think logically and think able to understand. Even if you look at verbal, to some extent, it's more about analytical thinking and logical thinking when you're trying to answer the questions. The questions are not direct. You need to think, understand the overall picture and able to solve it. So if you look at, that means CAT checks you on your thinking ability. Okay, either section or any of the sections. So what you need to do for develop thinking ability? Solve puzzles. You can do logic for con or verbal. I mean, you can solve any puzzles. You have anything, Wordle which is there. You have Sudoku which is there. You have Minesweeper which is there. So there are different puzzles which are there. Look at it. So Sudoku, crossword, Minesweeper, all this develops thinking ability to some extent. To try solving them. Start with easy, very simple ones, and then maybe go to a complex ones. Right? It helps to develop thinking ability because all the questions in CAT are more thinking. Second is patience. I mean, what happens is CAT, the improvement comes very slowly. I mean, if I really want to improve my reading ability, it takes minimum around 3 months time to get to your best ability. So if you can read continuously for 3 months, I'm sure you'll do well in verbal. Okay, same with other areas. The improvement comes very slowly and you need to have a lot of patience for your result. So it's a very slow process, be it reading, be it cont, be it DLR. Okay, it's not that it's not a rote learning thing where you learn last minute and go for the exam and you improve. Since people are not used to it, a lot of people give up in between. Not recommended. Try it. I've seen people who persist, who have patience, tend to do much better as compared to people who are more impatient. Okay. One way to improve your patience is to do meditation. Maybe 10 minutes daily could help. Just try to build that patience that's required for cracking the exam. This is true when you're writing the exam also. When you're writing the exam, it's more patience that is required. It's not that you have to be fast, etc. CAT is not a speed-based thing. CAT is more of logical-based thing where you need patience and you need to develop a thinking ability. Resilience. Resilience is basically you're down. CAT, for everyone whom I've seen, a lot of people are somewhere down, somewhere or the other as such. There will be a lot of failures in your journey. I mean, you will see you'll get low marks or your mock scores are going down or something or the other happening which you feel not going right. So one is low mark score. Second is unable to understand. For example, when you're reading, you don't understand what you're reading as such, or not remembering. I mean, I've just studied on Sunday and today I've forgotten everything. Very common. A lot of things that people find, down because they're not able to cope up with the preparation. But understand this is true for everyone. Everyone faces this problem. No matter how good you are, I've seen people who actually come regularly in the top 10 in the top classes mock test, or top classes mock test, all India. They also have seen, somewhere being rejected at some point or the other. I remember a student of mine, BCom student, who had come and said, I'm not very good at maths. I see all these engineers are better than me in mathematics. He had come 1 month before the exam to talk to me about this. But he said, no matter what, let me give my best shot, manage to score 99.89, get into Ahmedabad. So that's what is important. Resilience is important. Okay. So people who do well in the exam are the ones who bounce back from failures. So there will be failures, your mock scores will go down, you will get negative marks, etc. etc. The moment you can bounce back from your failures is where you will be able to do well. Next is comprehending. Comprehending specifically RC passages if possible. Whatever you read, you should be able to comprehend. Also DLR sets. When you look at a data, when you look at a chart, are you able to comprehend what is given to you? So that means comprehending whatever you look at is important. So reading is very important. Okay. As well as learning to know DI graphs and charts. This maybe you can understand by looking at the different charts that come along when you read either newspapers or you look at stock markets or look at anything. Look at the different graphs that come across and try to improve on that. Right? Don't focus too much on getting correct answer. People focus on, I want to get the correct answer and then try to go in haste. No, focus on learning from your failures. Even if you don't get it right, understand how you do and try to learn from your failures. That's more important. Just getting the correct answer without understanding what you're doing is no use. One of the most important skill set, this is specifically close to the exam or in your mock, is to identify difficulty level of the question. If you can identify difficulty level of the question, half your work is done in the CAT. Because what happens is you will end up solving a few questions. For example, in quant, normally people solve only 4 questions out of 22 questions correct, assuming no negative marks, get 80% tie. That means 80% of people solve only 4 questions, I will solve 4 questions. Which means I'm going to leave the remaining 18 questions. How much time you take to leave the remaining 18 questions will depend on your skill sets to identify difficult questions. Important skill set as well. So what I normally recommend students is work actively towards it. So whenever you are solving any questions, every question that you solve, check whether the question is easy, difficult, medium, etc. before you actually start solving. Okay. So don't focus on getting the answers quickly. Focus on identifying difficult level of the questions first, and then try to solve and then see whether whatever you marked earlier was right or wrong. Okay. So every question that you solve, mark it as easy, medium, tough. Okay, and after once you read the question, mark easy, medium, tough. So within 15 seconds you should be able to identify if some was easy or tough, etc. Don't try to solve it. Before trying to solve it, mark it. And then after that you solve it and see whether whatever you marked is right or wrong. Okay, that helps. And the 6th skill is mental calculation. I mean, important point in exam is a little bit of time that is there. And a lot of people waste a lot of time on calculations. So for simple calculation, learn to calculate mentally. I mean, because though CAT provides calculator, it's an online calculator. So if you use calculator for all the calculation, you tend to waste a lot of time. At least for simple calculation like 2-digit addition, subtraction, simple multiplication, learn to do it mentally. You'll be much faster, right? And this will also help you for other exams, because other exams don't have a calci. Remember, only CAT has a calci, online calci. So in that case, for difficult sums, I tell you use calci. For any calculation which is difficult, learn to use a calci. But for a simple calculation, learn not to use calci. Now, that simple and difficult will differ from individual to individual. As in when you practice more calculation, you will realize that what you thought was difficult earlier now becomes simple. We normally release these calculation sheets. You can solve those. That will help you with regards to calculation, improving your calculations. Right? I hope this helps. We'll come up with more videos that will help you with regards to your CAT preparation. So if you're writing the CAT, do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.